If I could go back now to the 1994 inquest of Fiona Green, knowing that as an interested party, as someone who's actually there at the inquest, I could have cross-examined Robin Stoddart, apparently. I would ask him, first of all, if he knew Dick Oakley. And second of all, or is this a leading question, was Dick Oakley there at the time that Fiona died? And third of all, and here my nose goes, third of all, was he, Robin Stoddart, there when my father phoned me? Actually, I think my father probably phoned from a phone box. I don't recall any sound at all except his voice. Unless by that time he was in Fiona's flat. In which case there would be no sound at all except his voice, because Fiona was dead. And I assume that Robin Stoddart by then... No. Robin Stoddart at that hour was still with Fiona's corpse. So obviously those would be my questions. Those were things I most wanted to know. Robin Stoddart, however, was very clearly terrified. I imagine he would have said no to all those questions. No, don't know him. No, he wasn't there. No, he didn't phone from here. The last might have been true. And I do have to ask myself, had I asked those questions? Well, Robin Stoddart was murdered 2 years later anyway. But who else might have died? When I turned in a pawn ring, a lot of people died. Had I questioned Robin Stoddart about my father's involvement in a murder, who else might have died? I don't know if any of that was in my head at the time. Because my memory of that inquest, I have to say, is not terribly clear. When I say my memory of it isn't clear, I couldn't tell you what building it took place in. I can remember pretty much where I sat. I can remember a panel of, I think it was 3 men facing everyone else. I don't remember it bearing any resemblance to a courtroom, although I assume it did. More like a schoolroom. What I remember is listening intently to what was being said, and sitting there with my pad of paper and my pen, and noting down everything that was said, although there do seem to be some omissions. For example, it only dawned on me in the last 24 hours. The part about where Robin Stoddart says Fiona was anxious about meeting her ex, I put in brackets the one who beat her son. Which means that A, the man was named, and B, I knew the name. Because I'm fairly sure that they didn't say, that Robin Stoddart didn't say, oh, she was anxious about meeting the ex who beat the son. This does puzzle me. I put the inquest on the back burner of my mind from the moment that Ellen, Fiona's mother, pushed the inquest notes back at me. I put the notes in a drawer. The drawer eventually wound up in a box. The contents of the drawer eventually wound up in a box. The box wound up in a shed. And they were in a shed in Wales for coming up for 7 years. And I didn't move to Wales until 9 years after Fiona died. In other words, what Ellen and I had done, which I may have said or not said, was we had spent years tiptoeing around the subject. And I don't know if I have already said this somewhere or not. But what I am reasonably certain of is that she did not want to say to me, I think your father had a hand in Fiona's death. Although she did ask me questions like, how well did you get on with your father? And if I had said I didn't, perhaps that would have left the way clear for her to say what she thought then. I think I merely said I was far closer to my mother. I, for my part, found enormous difficulty in saying to Ellen, I think my father had a hand in the murder of your daughter. These are not words easily spoken between friends. And we were friends. And we did, by that time, have a mother-daughter relationship as well. I am sure there are many times in families, I know there are, when difficult things are not spoken about. I know there are. Unfortunately, that quite often lets the guilty go free. And I can't go back in time and do it right.